Sheriff's Office here in the Sheriff's Sit Down this week and now every week, brought to you by our Community Credit Union. We thank them for that. And, morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Busy weekend, it seems like. Let's go down the list. We had a lot of things going on. Let's start first with Senator Cantwell was in town to talk about opioids and the opioid epidemic.
She met with several community leaders about 3 o'clock there on Saturday, just to discuss what's going on locally and what's going on across our country, and talking about some issues that are taking place in Washington, in the big Washington on the East Coast, and things that might be going on around here, and just kind of lending an ear to what our local issues are. It was very nice of her to meet Chief Bobach, and it's been instrumental in putting together the programs, and a number of people from the mental health field, and also people from working with drug addiction from our local businesses.
Was Bo there?
Yes.
When was the firefighter climb? Sunday? Because he did that.
I'm not sure. He may have done that Sunday. Saturday he was with us.
Oh, wow. Busy man.
Busy guy. So it was nice to see. Very nice. Senator Cantwell, I got to go to Washington a couple of years ago and meet with her on some issues involving children in the state of Washington, and very, very nice of her to come by.
What's it mean for a senator to come into a small community? I mean, she represents the whole state, obviously, but to make time to come to Mason County.
Well, I'll tell you, I feel bad for her because she's just home for the weekend.
Sure.
And, I mean, she is running nonstop. She was up in Collin County visiting with Sheriff Benedict and Chief Brian Smith up there on the same issues, because, as you know, we were on your show when we talked about Collin County leading the way as far as opioid use per capita, and us being in a strong second place. And she was up there speaking with Sheriff Benedict and Chief Brian Smith. I just talked to them both last week on this issue, and then she was down here. She's been all over this weekend. I mean, just one stop after the next. Yeah. Very nice of her to come by.
Matt, I saw you on social media over this last week, involved in the schools as you are, and you were wearing a Dr. Seuss hat for his birthday, I'm sure.
Yes.
And what else has been going on, and how is it there in the schools these days?
It's busy. It's a good busy. We've been, just been a gamut of different stuff, from patrolling school zones to filling out ticket requests. We get the school districts will send out I think it's called stop paddle violations. Anytime a school bus driver sees a vehicle pass through their 8-way lights, they'll send a ticket, or basically a report, and they'll send it to us. So I've been doing that, and it just seems like a lot lately. I don't know if it was from fog or whatever, and there shouldn't be any excuse, but it seems like I get a lot of requests to basically investigate these.
Wow. So that's people zipping past when
going
the
past
arm bars are out?
Yep. Yeah, which was very dangerous.
That's a no-no.
That is a no-no.
So that, and just a lot of follow-up. A lot of my stuff requires I got to go talk to parents regarding some issues and stuff, and maybe like a home visit or whatnot. And so
have you had an increased just conversations with families in the county from all the incidents that we've been talking about, and the increased look at school resource
Absolutely. It's
officers?
definitely a hot topic these days. And so, just conversation between teachers, faculty, parents, students. Just, what are we doing? What are some solutions? What do you think about this? I'm just tabling a lot of that stuff. Really. And
then when you come into the schools and you talk with the kids, I know that it helps to kind of change the way people see law enforcement, and that you are real people and you laugh and you can be cordial with folks and stuff like that. So does that help? Do you see a change in especially the youngest, the elementary school kids, when you come and interact with them?
Yeah, one thing that I get to do is I was kind of thinking about the acronym for school resource officer. In the R, there's just a lot of things. You got to be real, you got to be relative. There's just a lot of stuff, and so one thing I do, I kind of brought a secret weapon in with me today too.
Make sure you show it to the camera.
Yeah, too. So I'll bring that in.
It's your lunchbox for the day.
I got a SpongeBob lunchbox here, and so. So that's kind of SpongeBob was kind of I guess a cartoon character, but most of the school age kids right now between K and 12 have seen SpongeBob, so they know who he is. I'll bring
Everyone loves SpongeBob.
Yeah, I'll bring. He's got good work ethic too, that
Right?
guy. And so, I'll bring that into a first grade class or whatever, and sit down and have lunch with them, and we'll just spark conversations immediately just because I bought a SpongeBob lunchbox, and they're kind of amazed, like, what? You have a lunchbox? I got to eat lunch too,
Oh, that's
and so
sweet.
I'll tag that on. Well, maybe we'll talk about episodes of SpongeBob or something. But it's being being relative to the students, that having something to have that they can talk about, and like, hey, this guy's a human too.
Yeah, he's just a regular guy.
Yeah.
Yes, submitted several requests to avoid the sheriff's office uniform and go with the SpongeBob uniform, but
You know
we're
what?
not quite there yet.
Right there.
We're getting there.
There are certain standards that need to be held. Let's see. Sheriff Salisbury, Captain Old from the State Patrol's coming into town today. What's that
Yes, well, I was with Captain Old. Interestingly enough, we talked last week. We meet quite often, but we hadn't seen each other for a while, and we're looking at doing some specific things with traffic enforcement in Mason County. And I talked to Captain Old a couple of weeks ago about teaming up with the State Patrol and kind of doing a cooperative effort in some areas, emphasis. And then we ended up seeing each other at an event Friday night. So Captain Old's going to come down and visit with our staff, and as you know, our command staff switched a little bit so he can get familiar with who our new leadership is, and we'll be meeting with him today at 9.
What are some of the, we've talked over the years of the different areas where there's people driving a little faster than they should, or this talk about the buses and things like that. Where are there certain areas of the county that are always higher when it comes to speeding and just, I don't want to say reckless driving, but driving, endangering others?
It's trending. I personally, I think Highway 3 is like running a gauntlet, especially as we get towards spring and summer. And 25, 30 years ago, we had problems because in the summertime, people are rolling through there with their RVs.
Yeah.
And they're not going at the speed that people want to go commuting to work or whatever it is. And you've got a motor home or a fifth wheel going up there, and there's no place to pass. There's very few places to pass. And you get somebody out there trying to make that pass or cut the corners. It's extremely dangerous there. And so we work a lot with that in the State Patrol. And you've just got your natural areas where people on the way to work. We did the volume control up there on the North Shore, and people were complaining about that. But what did we find out? It was the residents more than anybody else when we ran the traffic.
In the middle of the day.
In the middle of the day. So, and so it's interesting when you do that. But we have those particular areas all over town. I'm amazed at coming through the city of Shelton in the afternoons now. It looks like Los Angeles at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, getting through town. It didn't used to be that way when I was a kid. But we have, Matt probably has particular areas in our school zones. That's another one for us. I had worked as an SRO for 9 years at Thurston, and the same thing. And I would make stops. I think of one particular one on Steamboat Island Road, because that was one of my schools out there. I'd make a stop there, and the individual's flying through the school zone. And so my first question, I talked to him for a moment, and says, where do you live? And I said, I'm going to look at the driver's license, so I know. Well, how long have you lived there? Well, 13 years. So you've been driving through the school zone for 13 years, and you're going 30 over.
Wow.
And it's the same thing. Well, I was hurry, get to work.
Mm-hmm.
And
Never happened again.
Never happened again. Yeah, and it's one after the other. So we have those problematic areas.
Yeah. Let's see. We've got some other big news on the Special Olympics.
Yes. I really appreciate the local agencies that, Department of Corrections was jumped in with us last year, and the fire departments, and we did the first law enforcement torch run last year in Mason County, and we put that together in a short amount of time. Chief Osterhout and Chief Sperling and Chief Eric all jumped in on this thing and got it going. And we had a video of it done by Troy. I was calling Quiet Troy, our computer guy. And what's Troy's company? I always forget.
Computer Creations.
Computer Creations. I was just calling Quiet Troy. He put together a video of that, and it got picked as one of the neatest ones in the country because ours was said it was so personal. Because when we ran through town here, all the folks from the bank came out, and we were out of Alderbrook, and the staff came out and welcomed our Special Olympics athletes. And so that bumped us back to Nashville, to Tennessee, to the World Conference. And some of our stuff was shown back there. Well, this year, the United States Olympic Games are going to be here in Pierce County this year, the final. And I got a message last week that the final leg, a section of the final leg of the United States Special Olympics is going to come through Mason County.
Wow. How impressive is that?
So we're looking, I'm still working with them. I'm working with Alderbrook. We're going to have our own run will be a day or so ahead of time, probably preceding that. Then you're going to probably have about 25 to 50 probably police officers, one representing each state, will run in Mason County, and we'll have a final stop out at the Alderbrook and a afternoon lunch and dinner thing, and then they'll take off on their little quest. Then the next day, the United States Special Olympics will start over in Pierce County.
Wow.
So we're going to be right in there a day before, and we're going to have new shoes for Jeff Slakey. You know,
I told
knock
Troy
out
when
some,
you guys start setting
knock
up your
out some
schedule, I'll
miles
run
with
with you
us.
guys. I
No,
will.
it'd be great, and we'd like to have you if you would. On that day, we're going to have a very limited a group of people at the Alderbrook that we're putting together. And if you'd like to be one of our people as our media folks to come out there and join us and see who's there, we'd really appreciate it.
That's like the big time.
That is neat.
That's pretty cool.
That's so
Yeah,
cool.
a little section of that. They're coming there. There'll be a group running. I don't know if you see that same group. There's groups running all over the USA Olympics in Washington. They want to celebrate Washington and show Washington off.
Yeah.
And so you'll have a group. I think they're going up and then back down Mount Rainier. There are going to be groups of runners going up and down. There's going to be going across eastern Washington, of course, the Narrows Bridge. There'll be sections of people going all over these different groups, running pieces of that. But one little section of it's going to be, they're going to run a little section right here, and then they're going to go on into Pierce County. So
I love that.
Anyway, Mary Doe from Special Olympics Washington called me last week and said, let's make this
That's
happen.
huge.
So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
exciting.
Well, we're just about out of time. We have some other things to talk about. We'll get to those next week.
No problem.
I got a good story to tell me about a powerful woman that you met last week. We'll get to that the next visit here. Matt Colbenson, Casey Salisbury for the Sheriff's Sit Down this week and every week now, brought to you by our Community Credit Union. Thank you so much, guys. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Good to see you here.